You're listening to the Copywriter On Call podcast. I'm your host, Sara Gillis, copywriter, word magic maker, and owner of What Sara Said. On this podcast, you'll feel empowered to show up online in a way that has you saying, "That's so me." Let's get started. Welcome back to another episode of the Copywriter On Call podcast. I am your host, Sara Gillis, and I am logging some solo on-call hours today to talk about something that a lot of service providers struggle with, and that is marketing a service that is considered luxury or nice to have but not needed in comparison to other investments. Now, while I could argue that copywriting or photography or website design or insert your industry or service here is a non-negotiable service, let's instead build this episode on the premise that services like copywriting are nice to have, but not needed services. So perhaps a comparison would be useful to start here. Let's say, for instance, that you want to become a photographer. In order to do that, you invest in a low to mid-range camera and equipment. You take a few courses to learn how to use your camera and how to edit in your chosen style. You begin marketing yourself as a photographer and building up your portfolio. And finally, eventually, you make a living by charging for your services. Now, that camera investment and those courses that you took probably feel like a non-negotiable part of investing in your business and in your business's future, right? After all, you can't take pictures without a camera, and learning about your camera and developing photo editing skills are essential to serving your clients well. Now, don't get me wrong here. We are not talking about dollars and cents in terms of investments. Instead, we're going to be talking about it through a different lens. But those of you who are photographers, you know what I mean when I say that cameras and equipment, they're not cheap. But again, we're not talking about the actual dollars and cents. Instead, we're going to talk about the marketing piece of it, okay? When you decided to become a photographer, you knew that you needed a camera. But how much marketing did the camera company, the Canons and the Nikons and the Sonys of the world, how much marketing did they have to do to help you understand that you needed a camera in order to become a photographer? I'm guessing little to none, right? It's obvious you need a camera in order to be a photographer. Now, where the marketing moves come into play is when it comes to choosing a Canon versus a Nikon or a Sony over the other options out there on the market. And sure, we could talk about, reputation in the marketplace or features of a camera or capabilities here. But what we're really talking about when it comes to choosing which camera you want or need, we're talking about value. And again, I'm not talking about dollars and cents necessarily. When we are talking about camera companies, we're talking about which camera company did the best job marketing their value to you and why. Maybe you look up to a mentor in your industry and they've always photographed with a certain brand of a camera. And so that's what you decided to start with too. In that case, you've placed value on another person's experience, recommendation, or expertise. Now, maybe you love a specific feature or a capability that one camera has over another. In this example, performance is something that you value, something that matters to you. What's really complicated, though, about marketing the value of something is that every consumer defines value differently, right? These two examples prove that. Now, some people define the value of a purchase or an investment monetarily, financially, while others place value on things like experience or customer service, craftsmanship, and more. So if value is something that we as service providers can't necessarily rely on as a quote unquote silver bullet in the marketing world, what do we do as service providers and as marketers of our business and our services? What tool can we pull out of our marketing toolbox to help our potential clients understand that they need what we have to offer? The short answer is we need to focus on sharing the transformation. the transformation that's possible by investing in our products or our services. Now, focusing on the transformation that is possible for a potential client, if they invest in your products or your services, it makes it possible for you to sell anything at any juncture in business, at any price point, and in any market. I know, bold statement, but let me be clear here. I'm aware that my services, like many others, are a financial investment that isn't accessible for everyone. But again, we're not necessarily talking about value in terms of dollars and cents here, okay? I've had a number of inquiries that have ended in conversations regarding finances, both in terms of people who want to work with me and when I'm looking to work with someone else for my own business. And there's never any shame, there's never any judgment if my service or a service I'm interested in is out of my budget or yours. When it comes to these services like copywriting or web design or brand photography, here's the crux. Our services are what I call next level investments that business owners make not to simply start a business, but to grow and to scale. Not everyone comes to this realization that they need copywriting, web design, brand photography, etc. at the same time. And not everyone comes to this realization at all. And so even if the realization is there, that doesn't necessarily mean the dollars and the cents are there. But again, that's not the point I'm trying to make. The point is this. By focusing on the transformation that's possible for a client that works with you, whether you're a copywriter like me, a brand photographer, or a brand designer who's creating custom branding, you move away from defining your services as a nice to have into a need to have by focusing on the transformation.
If what's being shared in this episode is inspiring you to bring more of your personality into how you show up online, I've got a quiz for you. Head over to whatsarasaid.com/quiz and discover your brand voice type so that you can feel confident in standing out through your words. This quiz will help you uncover the brand voice that's already within you, so your words can finally have you and your dream clients saying, "That's so me." Knowing your brand voice type means you'll have full permission to ditch the proper and polite copy if your authentic voice is actually quirky and fun. Your brand voice is what I call word magic, because honing it creates literal magic for you and your dream clients. Plus, after your brand voice type is revealed, you'll get access to 5 free social media prompts to help you share your voice right away. So what are you waiting for? Take this fun quiz now at whatsarasaid.com/quiz.
So let's get into it. How do we do this? How do we actually focus on the transformation in our marketing? We tell stories. Might have seen that coming. Here's an example from my own website. I want to ask, which statement of these two is more compelling? The first one, I help female creative business owners stand out through words. Or here's the second statement. You're hustling to serve your people and to do what you do best, whether you're behind the camera or balancing design clients like pretty plates in the air. But putting your vision for your business success into words on your website takes more time than you have or than you want to dedicate. Your website plus my word magic plus 1 week equals droves of ideal clients knocking on your door. What are you waiting for? The second example is so much more persuasive, right? There's a few more reasons for that. While the first example is a simple I help statement, and it's a good starting place in helping clients to understand who you serve and how you serve them, it lacks specificity. Who exactly counts as a creative business owner? And what exactly does it mean to stand out through words? More than that, though, the first statement, I help female creative business owners stand out through words, it lacks a storytelling element. Alternatively, that second example where you're thinking about balancing plates in the air and wondering how much time you have to dedicate to your website, that uses words like you and your. It places the reader in the shoes of that potential client. And it places you there too, as the service provider. You are in their mindset, feeling what they feel. And you get to see how the investment, both in time and yes, in money, has the potential to change everything. Let's look at another example here. This one for a newborn photographer. Instead of writing, leave your newborn session planning to me, what if you wrote something like this? When you enter my studio space, you'll be shown into your private dressing room where a curated selection of postpartum friendly and beautiful dresses await. You'll be pampered with hairstyling and makeup application to help you relax and feel your best. And when you're ready, we'll photograph that sweet baby of yours in your arms. Need to feed or soothe your baby? Your session moves at the pace of your baby's comfort. As a newborn photographer, you know that a successful session means ensuring the comfort of your littlest client and of mama. And so speaking to that on your website, that transformation that's possible if they choose you, not the photographer down the street, to photograph their newborn session, that can be key to moving your service from nice to have to needed. Thank you so much for listening to the Copywriter On Call podcast. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you take a screenshot of this episode and post it to your Instagram stories so that more business owners can be inspired to showcase the transformation that's possible in their website copy. Until next time, this is your Copywriter On Call, signing off.
Thanks for listening to the Copywriter On Call podcast. If this episode has you feeling all sorts of inspired to show up as yourself online, click that subscribe button so you don't miss my stories or practical advice to help you express your quirky, vulnerable, and authentic self online. Chat soon.